Welcome to Here to Serve, a United Regional podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Graves. My favorite part of being the Director of Patient Experience at United Regional is the incredible people that I meet and work with on a daily basis, and I want you to meet them too. Join us to meet the people behind the badge and to highlight those who are here to serve. Emily, welcome to the Here to Serve podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, you were one of the folks that was on our short list that I wanted to get to talk to. You guys do incredible work. You have an incredible journey that I'm excited to get into and talk about today. But first, tell us who you are and what your role is at United Regional.
Emily Payne. I'm the Director of Community Health. I have a background as a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. I actually started as an LVN. I've spent most of my career here at United Regional, but I did leave for about 3 years and worked in home health operations. And I've been back for 3.5 years.
Okay. Now, you were a LVN, right? Then RN.
Yes.
Did you do the bridge program, or what did you do for that?
Yes, I did. I started out at NCTC in Graham.
Okay.
And did the bridge program, and then later on did business degrees after my RN.
Excellent. Now, did you work at United Regional at the bedside? I'm trying to recall. Yeah. Where were you at?
So I originally started out whenever I was an LVN with the cardiovascular surgeons. Okay. Loved that. And then I went to the bedside on 7 Center, PCU.
Okay.
Worked 9 West, PCU, and then I worked, I like to say I retired from CCU.
Retired. I like that.
I'm a retired nurse.
Yeah.
At
Awesome.
CCU, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that bedside experience gives such depth of knowledge to everything else that you do, and kind of informs a lot of different things. So I recall it's been a minute. So when did you start at United Regional?
Probably like 2013 maybe.
Okay.
Hard to say. 13, 14.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I remember I have like a vague memory of you. I remember you on PCU, but I couldn't remember exactly where. So awesome. Well, glad to have you today. You have been on quite a nursing journey, but also I had no idea. I recently found out just in a random conversation with you that you've had quite a health journey. To be honest, was shocking to me. I had no clue. It's one of those things where I'm like, man, you just never know what people are dealing with and going through. You were very strong, and I just had no idea. I worked with you, I think, through most of that, and I still had no clue. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, we'll get into what you do as Director of Community Health, but I'd like to talk a little bit about that health journey. It had to have been harrowing, to say the least, but I'm interested in some of the perspective that it gave you. So just at a high level, tell me about what happened to you, what you were diagnosed with, and what that looked like.
Yeah. So back in July 2022, I went to Mexico on a vacation with my husband, and on our last night, we were going down the stairwell, and I felt one side of my body go weak, and I thought, I'm having a stroke. And
the nurse brain.
Yeah, the nurse brain starts cranking.
It's the worst.
And so I was like, I've got to sit down. Luckily, we were like at the part where it turns, and so I sat down. And I thought I was telling my husband what was happening, but later on I found out nothing was actually coming out of my mouth. And then when I was sitting there, I noticed my knee kind of like dropped to my ear. And then it occurred to me I was about to have a seizure. And so I was trying to lay myself down, and I remember my head hitting the ground twice, and then I don't really remember anything after that. So I did have a seizure, went to the hospital in Mexico, which in itself is an entire...
Okay, yeah, we'll come back to that, but I feel like that's going to be like, I often tell staff, I want you to imagine that you're in an organization, a hospital in a different country that speaks a different language than you.
100%. Like, and that plays in so much.
Yeah, I want you to think about that, and then think about how those patients feel when they're in our facility. So
absolutely.
Continue.
There's so much to that.
Yeah.
So I went to the hospital, got checked out, and because of the language barrier, they thought that I had slipped, hit my head, and then had a seizure.
Oh, jeez.
But by the end of it, they understood what happened. So I had gotten a CT to check for a brain bleed. And they said, and in Mexico, like, they don't have the images on the screen. They have like the old slides that you put up in the lat box.
Oh, wow.
And so the doctor's bringing in the lat box, the slide, and he's like, you see this little shadow here? Something's there, like there's no bleed. So I felt like you can get on the plane, because our flight was like within a couple of hours. And we had almost no money left. We were at an all-inclusive resort. We were like broke. We destitute. We had like maybe $20 to our name.
I've had this nightmare before. I've dreamed this nightmare.
It happens, I promise. And so the doctor said, well, if you would like, if you want to pay us $12,000 cash, we'll admit you to the floor and we'll do a workup and give you a better understanding of what's going on. And my husband was like, no,
we're good.
We're going to go home. Thank you. And so we were put in a taxi. That's another whole story of trying to navigate that in the middle of the night, trying to get a drug filled at a pharmacy.
Word.
So we flew home, had a layover in Houston, Houston. And do you remember John Reeves?
Yeah.
Yeah, the neurosurgeon. So I've remained friends with them because I actually worked in the same building as them when I was the baby nurse.
Yeah.
And met them. And so I was so in and out, you know how it is, or, you know, they probably know how it is, but you're very in and out after a seizure, very sleepy, and then you'll be awake. And my husband said, you need to call Jamie, his wife. And so I called her and I said, this weird thing happened. What do you think? And so she said, well, send me the report and we'll look at it. And whenever you land in Dallas, we'll let you know what we think. And so the report was in Spanish. And so luckily, John works at in Shreveport. His partner is fluent in Spanish.
Okay.
So they translated it for me.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so by the time we landed in Dallas, they had already gotten a referral to Dr. Schultz. They'd already ordered the MRI. And so when my MRI got scheduled, it was going to be, I want to say like 6 weeks out. It was a while. It was going to be a long wait. And so I actually called Michael Gardner and said, hey, buddy, can you
remember me?
Help me out? And so he did, and he got me bumped up. So I had an MRI the next week probably. And I was actually upstairs in this building. It was on a Friday afternoon. And the MyChart message came across, and I was so nervous. And so I didn't read it. And I sent it to John and Jamie, and I said, here's the report. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah.
And so John called me, and he said, this isn't easy to tell you. And because I don't have the images, all I have is the report. I don't know how extensive this is. I don't know what it's going to affect. All I know is that the report suggests that you have brain cancer. And this is going to be the longest weekend of your life waiting for answers. And he was just so kind and delivered it so well, and never promised me the world, never made it sound like everything's going to be okay. But the way he spoke to me and delivered that news, I just felt obviously scared and obviously sad, but I felt confident.
Yeah.
And so he sent me a referral to UT Southwestern for a neurosurgeon there who specializes in this type of cancer. And I went to see her in August, and my daughter was starting kindergarten that year. And it was like God picked the surgeon for me. She also had a daughter starting kindergarten. And so we talked about it, and she was like, let's wait until school starts. Let's get, you time to experience that and have, fun with your daughter and all of those things, because you're going to have some things going on after. And so we did. I had surgery the first business day after Labor Day.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And then everything that transpired after that was definitely the hardest piece. Like, waiting for surgery was not hard. It was the recovery.
Yeah. Was there a lot of pain involved, like rehab, loss of?
Yeah. So that's good question. So when I had my consult, I was so lucky. Like, everything I look back, I was just so lucky. The part of my brain, it was a golf ball size part of my brain that they had to remove. And where it was, she said, you're for sure not going to be able to do math in your head. So,
is that true?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And it's funny.
Well, at least you have a reason. I can't do math in my head either, but I have no reason for that. I just can't.
Yeah. So it's funny because as my daughter's learned math, I've learned math with her.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So I can do some math in my head, but it's not great.
Well, good news is we have ChatGPT now, so
and calculators.
No worries. It does it all for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fast. The brain is fascinating.
I know.
So, okay.
Yes. But what I was not expecting was when I woke up, and I never told anybody about this, and this is my fault. This is me being a bad patient. When I woke up and they wanted to get me up out of bed to walk for the first time, I could not, I felt like I had no control over my right arm and my right leg. And that was incredibly scary because, like the nurse brain in me is like, did I have a stroke? Right. Like, what's going on? This is not what I was told to expect. But I was able to walk and move. I had to really be intentional about picking up my leg. I remember walking into the bathroom and I'd already had my arm doing this number, which I never would have thought would have happened so fast. In fact, my sister told me, she was like, what is this? Because she's a PTA.
Right.
And so they ordered PT for me. They didn't order OT. And they were also kind of booked out. So it was going to be 2 or 3 weeks until I got in. And I am really determined, and like I have a lot of goals and I have a lot of things to do, and this was just not going to work for me.
Yeah.
So I called people that I knew that were speech therapists, like OT, PT, and there were a couple of apps that I downloaded that were for cognitive work. They were so like elementary, so easy, but for me it was it was so hard. One of my sister's OT friends came over and labeled my makeup drawer, because I could have my makeup in front of me, and this could go for like any number of things, cooking, and I knew what I was supposed to do, but whenever I would have to go pick up something, I could not tell you what was the first thing I needed to do or the second thing. And so it would take me 2 or 3 hours to do something that would normally take me like 15 minutes.
And this is just me being curious. Once you got going, did it make sense? But you just couldn't like...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And sometimes even still whenever, so it's more of like a mental fatigue towards the end of the day, which happens a lot in my job. I'll notice I start doing that. I just get really tired and I have to really, really think about things, and it's difficult. Word finding, I had problems finding words. I'm getting better at that. And then I had to use a walker, a shower chair for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, but I just got to it. I was like, nobody's coming to save me.
Right.
As much as people wanted to help me. The only person who could help me was myself. And I think that thought process is what really got me through it. My husband would not let me, like be down in the dumps for myself. He almost rejected it. And at the time I was like, just let me feel bad for myself. And he's like, no, you're not.
I love it.
You're strong. You can do this. You're going to just get this done and we're going to be okay.
Yeah. Gosh, I love that. We could spend all day. There's so many questions I have and things I want to talk about with this, but I think that's a great place right there to just kind of to pause for a second. You went through, something horribly traumatic. The way it happened, not only just finding out that you have a brain tumor, right, and potentially brain cancer is enough, but it happened to you in a foreign country, right? You got a young one starting school. Like, this really is the stuff that you have nightmares about. As a parent. Like, that is probably my worst nightmare, is like to be told, hey, you have brain cancer. Like, that's the far end of the deep end of the pool, right?
Like an organ you really need.
It's like the one you gotta have. We can work around most of the other stuff, not that one. And so you had this experience, but then all along the way, like multiple times, you said, I was so blessed, I was so lucky. So while it was horrible, there were also moments in there to go, okay, I see a plan in this. Like, I see that this is, but at the end of the day, you had to decide, like, in your heart and your mind, I'm gonna do everything I can do. Nobody's coming to save me. There's this, this is gonna date me a little bit, but my brother and I, and my family, it was a big deal. Louis L'Amour books. Are you familiar with Louis L'Amour? Okay.
Whole stack of them.
Okay, then you'll get this. That was a risk. I didn't know if you'd even have ever heard. We're big Louis L'Amour people. My son's name is Logan. There's a Logan Sackett. My brother's son is named Jubal. There's a Jubal Sackett. We're Louis L'Amour people. Anyway, there's a saying he has in these books, and we say it to each other often. And it's where one of the Sacketts or one of the characters has something hard to do, and they'll turn to the other one and they'll go, you got it to do. And so you had that moment where you went, this is mine to do. Like, I got to do this. And no one's coming to save me. Feeling sorry for myself. I got to help. It'd be nice if it did.
Right.
I find nobody wants to attend pity parties when I have them. They're poorly attended. And so I love that. It's powerful. So let me ask you this: going through that? So that was in 22, right? So we're 4 years removed from that. Is that about right?
About 3.5.
3.5. How are you doing now? Like, is there any minor residual stuff going on? Like, how you doing?
Yeah, so I would get scans every 3 to 4 months. And first, so cognitively, I feel like this is my new baseline. I feel like I'm pretty good for the most part. Sometimes still some word finding problems. Like, whenever I'm tired, the other day I was literally putting a coffee creamer in my cup at work, and I put it in the trash can instead.
Well, hey, I think that might just be like, I do those kind of things all the time.
Yeah, so and that still happens. Physically, I'm to the point where I don't trip a lot. I can still hear myself dragging a foot every now and then.
Okay.
Peripheral vision, sometimes this hand will scare me. It'll just sneak up out of nowhere and just like, ah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Then physically, the tumor, they got all the margin out. Originally in the first post-op scan, which was a surprise, we did not expect this. My surgeon came in and she's like, well, there's another shadow or another spot that we see on the other side of your brain towards the front. So we're going to keep an eye on it. And that was just like
Devastating.
I
can only imagine.
It was horrible. But we've not seen it again.
Nothing. Okay.
We've not seen it again.
Thank the Lord for that.
My oncologist is like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
And
do you have to do any radiation chemo stuff? None?
None.
Awesome. That's awesome too.
Yeah. And there was really surgical and maybe radiation were really the only options for this.
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't have to do radiation. My neuro-oncologist at UT Southwestern, she's amazing, Dr. Marr, she had actually been working on a clinical trial for medication for this specific type of brain cancer. And what it does is it keeps it dormant. So if there's anything else hanging out there,
It keeps it,
ready to, rear its ugly head, it keeps it at bay. And so I've been able to start that. I've been on it for a little over a year. It's $50,000 a month, so I can sympathize with our patients who can't afford medications. But because of it, now that I'm over a year and they have more of the clinical trial data, she's reduced my appointments to every 6 months.
Okay.
Which is amazing because taking off work, it's a whole trip to UT Southwestern, MRI. Like I've had close to 20 MRIs at this point in the last 3.5 years. Like it's been a blessing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's been some physical changes, some mental changes, but let me ask you this. I think that the change I'm most interested in is, what about your perspective? That I'm guessing, right? There has to have been some perspective changes for you before and after this. Right. Talk to me a little bit about your perspective.
I could probably talk about that for forever. So before I had the seizure, I had been feeling the stirring probably after the poke. That's where I do the thing.
Okay.
The peak of COVID.
Okay. I didn't even think about that, but this is coming off of COVID,
yes.
Which was super stressful. And then, continue.
Yeah. So, but I thrive in stress. I thrive in high intensity situations, which is probably why I felt this. I don't know if it was why, but I just felt this stirring. There was something I needed to do. Okay. I felt like I was thinking probably more in the nonprofit world. Maybe there was something I needed to do. And so every morning on my way to work, I'd be praying, God, you gave me a spirit of ambition. Use me, I'm ready, put me in coach. Well, and like day after day, nothing came up. And so when that happened, it really just kind of knocked me off my high horse. Everything that I felt special about, everything that I was confident about was gone. My intelligence was really the only thing that I felt like I had going for me. Like I have an identical twin and she's like, class favorite, most popular, the athlete, and I'm like, I'm smart. And so that was gone. Like I felt like an idiot and my confidence was totally ruined. And so I really had to, obviously went into the valley, went to a very dark place, and spent a lot of time praying. And before this happened, I felt like I had a close relationship with God, but you really don't know until you're in a situation like that. And at that point, it was almost like I prayed all day, like I had an open line with God. It felt like we were just on the cell phone, like in silence. And I'd be like, oh yeah, so this is going through my head right now. Let's talk about
that. That would do it, that would do it.
And so my perspective now is I am so thankful that this happened because my faith has grown so much. My perspective on challenges, my perspective on what's important, my perspective on my purpose in life. I no longer, while I'm still very ambitious, I'm very careful about the things that I say yes to. Used to, I was doing something almost every single night. And now I think about what's the balance between, am I being the mother that I need to be? Am I being the wife that I need to be? And then why am I saying yes? If it's to serve me, then I'm going to say no.
I love that.
If it's for somebody else, then I'm definitely going to say yes. And so that's given me a way different perspective on it. I was ready to die if that was the path I was going to go down, because there was a long time that we didn't know what you know, was going to happen.
Yeah, that's a reasonable
Yeah.
thing to think about in
Yeah.
your scenario. It's like, hey, there's a real chance
Yeah.
here that I don't make it out of this. That's I mean,
And I was at such peace with it. I was like,
talk about
taking home.
What more could change your perspective or be a wake up? And I don't wish this on anybody, but it sounds like you're saying this was as horrible as it was. There was also a part of this that was a gift.
It all was.
Yeah, that it's like, hey, this completely woke me up, destroyed me.
Yeah.
Woke me
Destroyed
up.
me, built me back.
And then now I have a different purpose and a different direction. So this makes me think of I can't think of the guy's name. He's the free solo guy that just climbed a skyscraper like this weekend live on Netflix. Anybody know his name? Can't think of his name. That's sad. Anyway, I was watching him climb the skyscraper. No cords, no ropes, nothing. It is one of the most incredible things. And I'm sitting there going, what's wrong with this guy's brain? I'm getting anxiety watching him.
Yes.
The crowd below him is getting anxiety, and he's just climbing this skyscraper. He climbs all the way to the top, no ropes, no cables, nothing, stands up on top of it, and it's just crazy. And I really am going, this guy, something in his brain is broken. He should be afraid. Why is he not afraid? They did a study with him where they basically hooked his brain up to sensors and then showed him like scary pictures, and his amygdala just didn't fire at all, like to these scary pictures. Amygdala is for anybody listening, that's the part of your brain that's supposed to fire when you're afraid. They showed him all these scary images that would make people, have a little bit of a reaction, and he just had nothing. And so again, they're like, hey, well, that's why you can do this. Your amygdala's broken. And he's like, no, it's not. I feel fear. I've just put myself in front of fearful things so much that my perspective on what scares me is very different than a normal person's, because I've put myself here time and time again. That was just so fat. Like, it made me know, like, we've got to put ourselves, and sometimes we don't put ourselves there. Sometimes we are just placed in these horrible situations, but you come out of them with a totally different perspective of what a big deal actually is.
Yes.
If a flight gets canceled, I've been through, I know what a big deal is now, like that's incredible. And so sounds like that has really guided what you do now at United Regional. You and I had just a rando conversation. You presented at a director's meeting or a leadership meeting months ago. And I was so moved as you were talking about all the work you guys were doing in the community. Most people have no idea what all work you guys do. I was very moved by it. And afterwards, I just, in passing, I said, Emily, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something along the lines of like, hey, you guys are out there doing the Lord's work.
That's what you said.
And you like turned, like I saw it, like you turned and it like clicked for you. And then we had a conversation a little bit later of like, no, that's what I'm trying to do is that. So tell me a little bit about what you guys do for as director of tell me the exact title, I don't want to mess it up.
Director of Community Health.
Community Health. I think so many people have no idea all that happens with that. So we don't even have time to cover all of it, but at a high level, talk me through.
I have probably the best role in the organization. So I oversee the clinic at the transition clinic, which sees a lot of the indigent population, but we see more than the indigent population, but we see a lot of homeless, a lot of people in desperate need of help. We have navigators there who do amazing work. They help patients specifically navigate the healthcare system and educate people on what they need to know about their diagnosis or their medications or who they need to see, making sure they get follow-up. I have the community educator, Darcy Clare. She's in the news all the time for the work that she does with the mobile food pantries.
Absolutely.
In a nutshell, that's what I do. But lots of anything community typically is going to be funneled down to me.
So this is one of those things that if I had to pick something I'm maybe most proud of with our organization, this would be probably it, or it'd be in the top, couple of things. It is our leadership long ago said, we want to do such good work that we put ourselves out of business, right? We want to go out into the community and help our community be healthy. Wichita Falls is not known for its public health. As a matter of fact, if you look on the top 50 list, we're pretty horrible on that list. I think at one point I saw we were like the number 2 most unhealthy. It was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if hopefully that's gotten better because you guys are doing a lot of work around that. But this is not a money maker, right? This is not something that that we go, hey, we're gonna go help the community so we can make money. There's no money being made here, or if there is, it's I don't.
There's not.
Yeah, there's
Negative
not.
money's being
Negative
made.
money's being. There's a lot of resources going into the amount of people that are working on this, the infrastructure, and I can tell you from my standpoint as an advocate, I worked as a patient advocate before we had community health, right? And it was so disheartening. I would run into patients all the time that I just couldn't help them. I wanted to help them. I would call and badger doctors' offices in town to try to help them, and sometimes I could. But now when we get those phone calls, we go, oh no, nope, no problem. Let me call one of our navigators. And I've never made a phone call to those navigators that they went, no, this is not for us. They're like, yep, send me the name. I'm on it.
Yeah.
They get them in, they get them fixed up. I mean, it is. I don't know what else to call it other than it's the Lord's work. I mean, it's incredible.
It is the Lord's work. I tell them all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. They're so desensitized to the impact that they have and the people that they touch that every day they're like, oh, we're just not making a difference. We're not making a difference. I'm like, y'all are making so much difference. I wish that there was a way to quantify it and you know, show them what they're doing.
It's one of those things that I'm sure is hard to quantify, but for any of the team that's watching, I'm going to look in the camera. Please, have your team watch this. You guys, I get like teary-eyed when I think about what you guys are doing for the community. And I've lived on the advocate side with and without you guys, and you make just such a difference for this community. I know it's sometimes hard to see that in the moment, but I don't know if I like to play the It's a Wonderful Life game. Like if you pretended that all of a sudden the community healthcare went away, what would that look like? Like how many people would be in a really bad spot? Like you guys do so much for the community.
How many people in the community?
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah. Yeah, thousands. So,
Thousands.
We'll wrap up with this. And gosh, I wish I had 2 more hours because there's so many things I want to talk to you about. But let me wrap up with this. What are the big rock challenges that you guys face as you're trying to help the community? We're putting resources toward this. What are the things that get in the way?
Funding, obviously. Healthcare is expensive.
Right.
A lot of patients let things go too long because they can't afford it, and then it becomes an even more expensive problem. Coordination with other entities in town. We're with Corey here. That's improving. It's getting so good, and I love it. I'm very excited about where that's going. But really being able to pick up the phone to somebody who's not in healthcare that we would have probably not contacted for something in the past to make something happen, that would be amazing to start doing, because this city, it's like a body. We all have different systems and we all play a different part. Yeah. And working together, I think, will solve a lot of those problems.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that you wanted me to ask you about today that I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Okay. Awesome. Emily, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Keep doing what you're doing. We'll definitely have to bring you back, and I want to bring maybe you and a couple folks from your team, some of your navigators, maybe to talk through some of the work that they're doing, because it's incredible stuff, and I find so many people have no idea it's out there.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.